What's up, everybody? We got Sliwa. We're back with another professional picks video talking about each and every game in the NFL Week 5. Just talking about our initial predictions here, and you'll see in a later video, we'll have our official bets to come later in the week. We know you're going to like these videos, so keep subscribing, keep liking, and keep commenting on what you're picking this week and what your takes are. We love hearing from you guys just as much as we want to tell you guys our own picks. So don't be shy. Before we jump into the picks, Sliwa, a half point off in this Chiefs-Jets game. I really should. I bought a half point in the Bucs-Saints game. I don't know why I didn't in the Chiefs-Jets. Our closest time yet to a clean sweep, but our lock hits again. You put 2 units on that. You put the 1.5 units on the Jags game as well. That was a bounce back situation for them. Looking back at it, I knew the Bills were going to easily cover that. I know easily cover. I knew the Bills were going to cover 2.5. And that Cowboys-Patriots under, it was a sweat, but it hit. Thanks to a missed field goal late in the game. But looking good in week 4 and looking to bounce back again in week 5.
Yeah, love it, Woj. Closest to the sweep. We'll get it eventually, though.
We'll
Let's
get
roll
there.
right
We're going
into
to
it.
get there. I know it. Oh, God.
This might be the week.
Could
First
be.
up, starting with the Thursday game, Chicago versus the Commanders. Bears, very upsetting loss. Now 0-4 on the season. It's probably the best game they've played, though, start to finish, even though they
That's,
lost.
yeah.
It was at least they at least looked half okay for most of the game. And then the Commanders, like we mentioned last week's video, they always seem to play the Eagles very well. Went to
Mm-hmm.
OT, couldn't pull it out in the end, but Commanders I thought looked very good. Bears also looked a little better than I was expecting in the loss. What are your thoughts on this Thursday game?
Yeah, I think you teed that game up perfectly. Definitely a very encouraging loss for the Commanders after they got blown out by the Bills in week 3. Well, they weren't able to put away the Eagles, but they definitely competed with one of the only 2 teams in the league that's undefeated. And, it's hard to hang your hat on losses in this league, but it was an encouraging sign from just about everyone, especially Sam Howell at quarterback, who stepped up after a horrific game against an incredible Bills defense. And I agreed. While the Bears definitely collapsed late in that game, for 3 quarters, they were a very good football team, albeit against the Broncos. I think in this game, people are going to be reading a lot into, the Commanders really playing well against the Eagles last week and thinking that, the Bears blew a lead against the Broncos, who were obviously horrendous this season thus far, and kind of discounting them maybe more than I think they should. You see that Justin Fields is playing a little more loose since those comments after the Chiefs game. And, after besides that one fumble that he had that was returned for a touchdown, like he looked pretty good that game, especially again through 3 quarters. My one big thing here is that the Bears offensive line is terrible, and the real strength in this Commanders team on either side of the football has long been their defensive line. And so I said in my Survivor League video that I expect the Commanders really to only be rushing forward here to get consistent pressure on Justin Fields and even the run game, and then drop back 7 in coverage and take away a lot of the receiving options for the Bears. And I have a hard time believing that the Bears offense can move the football too effectively down the field. It's really going to come down to the turnover battle, if this game's going to be close or not. Again, Justin Fields, we've seen him make multiple turnovers in many games and let up a lot of points for the defense, the opponent's defense, either a pick 6 or a fumble for 6. And Sam Howell's had his ups and downs this year. If he can control the ball, then I think that the Commanders will be fine in this game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think so too at home in this one, especially how they looked strong in the loss, nonetheless. And then Sam Howell he's still a young quarterback. He's going to continually improve. I think he's going to get
Mm-hmm.
better throughout the course of the season. And this Commanders team is pretty good. I mean, obviously, blanking on the name right now, the rookie, Emmanuel Forbes, he got torn up by A.J. Brown, but
Yeah, he
a
did.
learning experience for him. And I mean, this team's just going to get better, I think. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned, the D line's stout, but quarterbacks can get better. Their secondary should get better. I think this team is going to continually improve throughout the course of the season. And just like one little side note on this one, seems like a stretch, but with the Bears playing on Thursday, you get the longer break before week 6. Some potential talks about the Bears making some
Yep.
coaching changes if they lose this one.
So do you think we'll do this one quickly because we spent a lot of time on this one? Don't you think that's a favor for the Bears? Like this guy's playing for his job here.
That's
Quite
I
literally.
would say so. Yeah, I mean his
Yeah.
job could be on the line. I would give more reason to think the Bears might pull this one out, but with what we've seen on the field, nothing really
Yeah. I
indicating
mean,
you're
even
confident
when
to
your
take it.
back's up against the wall, sometimes you can't pull that rabbit out of your hat.
Yeah, but I think this one might be closer than we're expecting.
Yeah, I think so too.
Another London game. Not going to get caught on it this time.
Good.
Got me
That's
last,
good.
but Jags head into London again. They looked good last week in London against the Falcons. Um, pretty much dominated the game, and I don't know. I don't know if there's any of that home London field advantage. Um, we might we might see more of that in this one here. But the Bills looked great. Um, Blew the wheels off the Dolphins. Really kind of brought their hype train back down to earth.
Hmm.
I don't think the Bills are getting talked about enough. I mean, after that last win, I think they will more now. But they've been consistently one of those top teams that you talk about with the Chiefs, and I think that's kind of fallen off this season at least.
I
With
agree. I think they've looked like the best team in the AFC. It helps when the Chiefs, have looked a little bit less explosive thus far, especially, could easily lost that game against the Jets if Zach Wilson can receive a pretty well snapped shotgun. But and the Joe Burrow and the Bengals not doing too well this year. I think the best team in the AFC right now, and they really had something to prove against the Dolphins last week. While the Jags did look good against the Falcons, I think I've downgraded both my ratings for the Falcons and the Jaguars since the season started. I'm not loving what I'm seeing out of the offense. I thought between like ETN, Tank Bigsby at running back, and then Zay Jones, Christian Kirk,
I think more
and
on Ridley.
Ridley, I thought this offense would be approaching juggernaut, maybe not juggernaut, but Trevor Lawrence. Everyone's talking about big leap for all these guys in this offense. I haven't been seeing it yet. The big difference between this game and the loss against the Texans that they had is that Lawrence didn't turn the ball over a couple times, and their defense actually ended up putting up points for the Jaguars. But outside of that, I haven't seen a ton of this Jags offense, and I'm not encouraged by it. I'm certainly not encouraged seeing them go up against one of the best defensive units in football with the Bills, who stifled the Dolphins, who do have a juggernaut offense, and really shut down the Commanders to only 3 points. I talked about it in one of my videos a couple of weeks ago that these guys just like the Dolphins were the only team to break 20 points against this Bills defense. They're legit. And while they are going to London, which has to be a point for the Jaguars with the possible home field advantage that you mentioned, and also they don't have to actually travel to that game, I do think that the Bills end up blowing out the Jags here because I just don't think the Jags offense can put up what the Bills were doing. Josh Allen leapfrogged everyone, is now the favorite for the MVP, by the way, in the NFL.
Yeah. To your point, on the or shoot, I totally lost my train of thought there. But I do think the Bills are going to win this one. And to your point about the Dolphins putting up over 20 points against the Bills defense, and that being the first time all season, the Bills were scoring quick and fast in this last game. Like
Josh
after the
Allen only threw
Dolphins
the
did
ball
that
24
to them,
times.
that's what I'm saying. So the Dolphins had plenty of opportunities.
Crazy.
That was a very impressive defensive performance by the Bills, even still giving up the 20 tons
Yeah,
of possessions for that Miami offense. I was really impressed with how the Bills played. I think this might be a good case for an under, especially the Jags defense has looked really strong so
I
far
agree. I like that.
against both the Chiefs and then the Falcons. Doesn't matter whether it's pass or run offense; they've looked good. I think this is a good case for an under bet.
Yeah, most noteworthy thing here is that the Bills lost their star cornerback, Trey White, who's going to be out for the season. It probably won't come into effect this game, although we did talk about the good wide receiving core for the Jaguars. It's just disappointing to see their star player go out in a Super Bowl contending team. Seems to keep happening to them.
Right, seems to just be the case season after season.
Hmm.
Moving on, we got the Titans coming off the big win this last week against the Bengals. You called that one on our last video, and then the Colts losing in OT. I thought they looked good against the Rams still. The
Yeah.
Rams are a team I'm definitely rating much higher, um,
Yep.
even at 2-2. Like we've talked about it multiple times, but
Hmm.
McVay and just get a somewhat healthy team on the field, they're going to be competitive.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson coming back off the concussion looked good. I really like the Colts team. They're just exciting to watch this year when Anthony Richardson's on the field. Um, I do think these two teams are fairly similar, like to lean on the ground game.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We see it in the line here, just a 1 point spread, almost a pick 'em. What do you like?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting too because Jonathan Taylor is gonna be back this week. He obviously doesn't want to play with the Colts. He's made that very clear. So I'm intrigued to see his effort level. Though he is, I mean, anyone in the NFL is a competitor. I would be surprised if they phone it in any capacity. These guys want to keep competing as much as anyone else, but it's something that is in the back of my mind. It's so I'm looking at Pro Football Focus overall grades. The Titans actually top 10 team. Noteworthy that the Rams are the 11th team, but Titans are the 10th team in the league in terms of PFF. Colts all the way at 25. So I think they're a good team, but it's clear that they don't have the most talent. And everyone knew that going into this season, and they've been overperforming. I like the Titans here for the same reason I like the Titans every single week. They keep being underdogs. They keep being the best team to put in a teaser because they're always underdogs. They're always going to keep games close, if not win. I think if the Titans can beat the Chargers, who are very similarly ranked with the Colts overall, although play a very different style of offense, that the Titans can beat the Colts here even on the road. Because it's a favorite, like I could see the Colts winning a divisional game. It's hard to go against. It's hard to pick a road divisional opponent. But I think the Titans in a teaser here is an amazing spot and probably the under too.
Yeah, no, I mean that's been another trend for us. The Titans always seem to make their way into the card
We
and
pick our
always
teams. We
win.
got our teams.
So no, I like the pick here. Lower spread too indicates to be a closer game. Use that to plus a touchdown. I like it a lot.
Lots of running in this game, lots of clock being chewed, not a ton of deep passes. It's not what these guys do.
Okay. I like it. Let's move on. We got the Saints heading to New England. Both teams looked very bad this last week. Saints only put up 9 points against the Bucks, and then the Patriots only three against the Cowboys. So yeah, neither of these teams trending in the right direction. Somebody has to win. They
Someone's
both
got to win
lean
this one.
heavily on their defenses. Saw you pointing for the under.
Yeah.
You think it's
It
still
seems almost too
closer?
easy. Yeah, like you said, combined 12 points for these two teams last week. They both were in our card last week for the under. They might both make it again for the under. Uh, this is going to even with Christian Gonzalez out, who has been playing, who I was ready to say was the best rookie cornerback until Devin Witherspoon just lit it up on Monday Night Football, which was amazing. He's been a huge anchor for this Patriots defense and a big reason they've been so successful. Albeit the offense that they've had has not really given them support that defense needs. I really I initially started out loving the Patriots just because in any close game against offense that struggles, the Patriots find a way to make them struggle even more and find a way to win. Reference the Jets game 2 weeks ago. And at the same time, this Patriots team, again, I keep saying every week, their offensive line is not nearly as good as it used to be. Not the best run blocking team, although that is what their identity has been the last few years. Ramondre Stevenson not really looking as explosive as he did last year. Looking to get back into that, but this Saints defense is very legit and is going to make it tough for the Patriots to do anything, especially with guys like Cam Jordan come off the edge. Not a lot of time for Max Jones to throw the ball. I think you can say the same kind of thing on the flip side with the Patriots defense against the Saints offense. It's really going to be a tight game. I like Bill Belichick at home, in more need of a win than the Saints are. And that's just, we in close games like the Titans, we bet on good coaches, and Belichick's as good as they come.
Yeah, no, I'll side with Belichick over Dennis Allen any day. And just another interesting stat I saw: Alvin Kamara, 13 catches for 33 yards. The
13?
lowest amount of yards for 13 catches. It
Jeez.
used to be at 71. Now it's at 33.
PPR monster. Holy
I mean,
crap.
my takeaway more so from that is Kamara. I mean, he's a great running back, but he's getting older, that up in
Oh, no,
age.
I
Like he's
agree.
he's back, but he's not the electrifying playmaker that he once was. I would still say Olave is the best option they got on that
Of
offense.
course. Yeah. A couple of years ago, he's breaking a few of those tackles and taking those to the house for 100 receiving yards if he's catching the ball 13 times. I get
13
what you're
for
saying.
33 is just it's not a great sign.
Yeah, no.
Moving
Patriots are
on,
going to bottle it up, too.
uh, classic matchup. Got the
I love it.
Ravens going up against the Steelers. I
Mm-hmm.
used to be dying out on the field during these games.
Yeah.
Willis McGahee just going down. I mean, these defenses still very, very tough. Not your traditional matchup that we maybe had 20 years ago, but I mean, two very tough defenses heading into Pittsburgh. Tomlin continues to find ways to at least stick around 500, but
Yeah,
on paper, this I don't see how the Steelers win this one.
I'm with you. We'll keep this one a little more concise because that's really what it all boils down to. It does feel like a little bit of this Baltimore Pittsburgh matchups of old, where this total is astronomically low. But this Ravens defense is one of the top units in the league. While the Steelers are a better defense, they're actually the 18th best defense, because that secondary is hurting. But the Ravens are the third best defense in football, behind two juggernauts on defense with the Niners and the Cowboys. When you got Mitch Trubisky at quarterback here for the Steelers, starting his first game of the season behind a putrid offensive line and zero running game with the Steelers. Deontay Johnson, one of their best receivers, still out. Najee Harris not really producing much between the tackles. The only bright spot on this team is maybe Jalen Warren out of the backfield, and even that hasn't been all that exciting. I would be shocked to see the Steelers win this game, but we've been shocked before. Somehow Mike Tomlin sticks around. His defense puts up points. They find a way. I just don't see it this time.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. The Steelers divisional matchup, they're at home, so they do have a few things leaning their way, but just at the end of the day, you got to score more points on the Ravens. And I don't see how Trubisky puts up more points behind that line. You need at least a defensive touchdown,
Again,
kick
nothing.
return. They need a lot of things to go their way in this one. So I think
And that Ravens injury report is supposed to clean itself up a little bit this week, get a few key guys back. They're missing like half their lineup, but they'll be back and they'll be ready to win this one. And a huge win for them. They'll be 3-0 in the division if they win this game. All three wins on the road. It'll be very impressive for them.
all right, I like it. Moving on down south, I like the
Yeah.
under in that one. Got the Texans going up against the Falcons in this one. Texans look great. Another one we've been talking about. CJ Stroud in the background. Wondering when they're going to finally make their way onto our card. Still hasn't thrown a
Yeah,
pick
I don't
in
know.
4 weeks.
It's getting
Going up against
close.
the Falcons. These two teams trending in the completely opposite directions after the
Mm-hmm.
games.
Mm-hmm.
Are you buying the new trend, or are you reading more into like where these teams?
Uh no, I love that is such a good question, because what I was gonna say is I can't tell if I want to buy low on the Falcons or ride the wave of the Texans in this game, because two really different styles of football here. The Falcons only want to run the ball, and the Texans, who don't have a ton of run game, are being completely propped up by CJ Stroud in one of the best starts of a rookie quarterback that we've seen in a long time. I don't know which one I want to pick, quite honestly. Uh, this under for how many points the Texans have scored is suspiciously low, which makes me want to start with the Falcons here. Let me take a look and see what this run defense is for the Texans, because I think that's going to tell the whole story of this game. I looked it up. Guess who has the worst run defense in the league? The Texans. So knowing that, putting together a story this under, like close game and the under, that's not a Texans identity. The Texans don't play close games that go under. They put up points and they let up points. If this game's going to be an under, it's going to be a type of game that the Falcons win. And just because of the fact that I see they have the worst run defense in football by a wide margin, oh my God. I love the Falcons now more and more. And I was thinking about, I came into this slide thinking maybe we put the Texans on the card in the teaser. I can't do it anymore. Can't do it.
Yeah,
And they're the worst run defense.
CJ Stroud's gonna have to prove you wrong one more time.
Jesse Bates picks off CJ Stroud this game.
Yeah, no, I mean to your point, the Steelers, what'd you say? They're 18th, so I guess maybe overrated that performance a little bit last week. I know they got Joey Porter, Pat Pete, but I mean that team's tougher on the front seven, so might be a
Yes, sir.
tougher matchup. Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell in the secondary. So
Let's see what the coverage rank for the Falcons are. Um, they are top half of the league. They're 13th, so nothing to write home about, but pretty solid. Um, the Texans are coincidentally fourth in coverage grade in this league, but that doesn't play to the Falcons' strength. Falcons don't, if they could do a Bill Belichick and not throw the ball all game, and they'd be very happy with that result.
really wanted to like the Texans in this one, but
I did too. I really did.
big
I
value
really
factor.
did.
All
It's
right.
gonna be a good game, but I don't. That under this is suspicious for the Texans. Like that's not how they play football.
All right, next up, we got the Panthers. Another winless team heading into Detroit. Detroit looks good. Last Thursday, beating the Packers on the road. They've had the extended rest heading into this one with playing the early game the previous week. So slight advantage here against the Panthers. And then Panthers been a very, very tough team to watch this year.
Yeah, you're
I
telling
mean,
me.
the spread indicates the Lions should easily win this one. Which way are you leaning? I don't have too much to get into on this one.
Yeah, 9.5 is too rich for my liking, even for the Lions to look pretty good. What is surprising to me is the tail tape on the defenses for both these teams. I was much higher on the Panthers defense going into this season and much lower on the Lions D heading in. You look at things how they're shaking out at the quarter of the season. The Lions are the 10th best ranked defense in terms of Pro Football Focus, at least in the league, and Carolina the 23rd, which I was really surprised to see. They do have Carolina, to their credit, as a pretty solid pass rush and good in coverage grade, but their run defense is one of the bottom 5 units in this league. Now that doesn't necessarily play into the Lions game. They've done a really good job on offense, getting Jared Goff in rhythm, making good timing throws to the plethora of receivers that they have, and Laporta at tight end. But what you saw this last game with the Lions against the Packers, that if you're going to give them the opportunity to run the football, they have no problem taking it. Now they're proving to be a much more balanced offensive than what they were last year, taking the run game, really going ahead with David Montgomery between the tackles and behind this top graded offensive line in the league. And because of all that, it'd be shocking to see the Lions lose this game with how bad the Panthers have looked and, how promising both sides of the football have looked for the Lions this season.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The Lions definitely win the game. I don't know if they cover the spread, especially with the Panthers being a little bit stronger in the secondary.
Yeah.
One question for you: do you think Jamison Williams has the potential to like elevate this Lions offense to being the top unit in the league?
Top unit in the league. I'm looking at these teams and thinking who is. I do. I really do. He's on my fantasy team for a reason. I've been stashing him on the bench because he's first round wide receivers from Alabama have done pretty well recently.
Yeah,
And
I mean they
so
drafted him knowing he was going to miss the first year, most of the first year. So
so
I'm
I
excited to see him on the field.
yeah, it'll take him a little bit to get calibrated to NFL speed. How long will that take? We'll see, but it will have an elevation on this offense. There's no doubt in my mind that they'll find a use out of him.
Yeah, no, I think that could be a big separator between the Lions running away with the NFC North.
Let's see what their passing grade is. They're the third best passing grade team in the league, behind the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Dolphins. So I guess they got a lot of room to catch the Dolphins, but they'll be the top two.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, tough to say with it because the Dolphins running backs have been explosive too.
And
But
then when you got Waddle and Hill, that's just not fair. These guys are too fast.
anyways, be top three at least.
Yeah.
Already.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we got the Giants heading to Miami. 11-point spread now after the Giants just got dominated on Monday night. Oops, almost went ahead. But you mentioned it there. Witherspoon, career night, 2 sacks, pick six for 97 yards, the Illinois alum. That was fun to see.
Bang.
Daniel Jones just constantly looks bewildered on the field. It's hilarious
Dude,
watching
I
that
feel
guy
bad for
play.
the guy. I really feel bad for him. This one for me is short and sweet. Dolphins are going to put up way too many points for if the Dolphins get up early, the Giants are going to have to pass. The Giants can't pass block. The Giants can't put up points. I would 11. I'm not going to touch this game in terms of spread, but it's clear that the Dolphins are going to win this one, and it's probably not worth your time watching.
I agree. I think even at the 11, this public's gonna be all over the Dolphins in this one.
It started at 9.5. It's already the public's been all over the Dolphins.
I could, yeah, I could see the Dolphins still winning this one by 20, but you never know.
This is the type of game where they put up 80 instead of 70.
All
I
right,
could see it. The Giants
another
defense is decent. They show up like they did against the
team.
Seahawks.
Yeah, they played like about as not as well as they could have, but they gave them a chance to stay in the game. If the
Yeah,
offense,
I mean, you got to ask for a little bit more out of your offense. They didn't give it to them, but they competed. Is all you were asking for. They
right?
they made stops. They're not great, but they're not horrendous.
Yeah, Miami will just be too explosive though.
Mm-hmm.
The
They're
Giants.
just in a different league than the Giants, and for a lot of teams in this league.
All right, moving on. Another stinker. We got
You got
the
Carson
Bengals.
Palmer.
I know. Nobody else worth showing on the Cardinals. Nah, I'm just kidding. But anyways, Cardinals honestly have looked a lot better than I expected.
Yeah,
I kind
yeah.
of, I mean, yes, they're not necessarily winning a bunch, but they're remaining competitive for the most part. Bengals on the other end, Joe Burrow doesn't look like himself. Both
Mm-mm.
these teams are just kind of tough to read. Really, the only way I think you'd look at this one is Joe Burrow going to play like himself, or are these two going to continue to play the way we've seen the last 4 weeks? If that's the case, I think the Cardinals cover as the home dogs, but Burrow could return to his old self. What do you think is holding him back? I know he's got the calf injury. Do you think there's anything else playing into it?
Yeah, it's interesting because this game opened at Bengals -4.5, and the public has since jumped on the Cardinals. If you're gonna try to predict this game based on the eyeball test and what you've seen this season, you're clearly picking the Cardinals here. They've looked much better. They've only won one game. It was against the Cowboys, who are a great team. They've been in just about every game they played, with the exception, I guess, of this 49ers game. But can you blame them against a team that great? And the Bengals haven't looked good at all, really behind a beleaguered offensive line that is not helping them all in the run game. Joe Mixon nowhere to be seen, and not really giving Joe Burrow much time in the pocket here. What's also interesting is the mismatch from the Cardinals offense and the Bengals defense. The Cardinals have one of the best rushing offenses in football, the third best ranked run offense in football. And they're going up against one of the worst run defenses in football. The Bengals, seventh worst in the league in terms of run defense. So everything in my mind, and even in the statistics, make me want to pick the Cardinals. That being said, this is a make or break game for the Bengals and Joe Burrow, who, like you said, is nursing that injury. And I have to think he's a good enough quarterback to win this game. This is kind of a throw out the record books, throw out what you've seen, and take Joe Burrow and this Bengals team, or else they're not making the playoffs.
Yeah, no, like it is a pretty much a win now game for them, going 1-3 to start the season, and playing in such a tough division. You got the Ravens leading the way right now, but even the Steelers, Browns, you never know. Either of those can end up with winning records as well. So yeah, Joe Burrow needs to show up. They need to win this game. But yeah, if you're just reading the numbers, Cardinals look like the right pick here.
Yeah, they do
I
have
think
the third worst pass defense in the league. So look for Joe. I mean, Joe Burrow's going to exploit that because he has to. This run defense, or this run offense for the Bengals hasn't been showing up.
I think this is going to be a buy low by the Bengals, and they'll finally show up. I know it's week
I,
5; it's getting later in the season, but I still think this team is too explosive on offense the last 2 years. It's not
yeah,
like anything crazy has happened. The O line's
big
always been
Jamar Chase game. Big
hard.
Jamar Chase game for sure.
I like it. So no, yeah. I mean, I'm leaning Bengals in this one, -3.
I have to take the
Big
Bengals.
push, but yeah, nah, that's the lean. All right, moving on. Got the Eagles heading to LA. Both teams coming off wins this last week. Both teams, in my opinion, look really good. I mean, the Eagles, we all expected it, but I mean, at least they're showing up and proving themselves one more season now. I know
Yeah,
they made the playoffs the season before, but maybe it was a lower wild card seed. So I wasn't obviously they're a great team, but they weren't able to keep everyone this offseason. So I've been impressed with them being able to keep their winning mentality and just kind of full team play. On the other
hmm
end, I think I'm really surprised at how well Stafford's looked too.
yeah.
I
They
expected
still got it.
Stafford to look more like he did last year, or at least just be trending a little bit down. But I think Stafford looks amazing, and if he can stay playing how he is, they could be in pretty much any game.
Yeah, and they found a productive running back in Kyron Williams there in LA. If I think the big difference in this game is Cooper Kupp, if he plays, I think they have a legit shot. The Rams have a legit shot to win this one with how balanced their offense has been. The Eagles, for being 4-0, have played in too many close games for I think a lot of people's liking. They still are one of the best teams in football, and their record shows that. But traveling all the way across the country to play in LA, Rams offense looking really good, especially with Puka Nacua stepping up, Tutu Atwell as well. Uh, their defense isn't much to be desired, and that's gonna be the big difference here. If they can force the Eagles to punt the ball a couple more times than normal, they're gonna stay in this game. I think the Rams and the teaser here is a decent spot, and probably the over might look pretty nice here too.
I mean, I'd agree. the Rams have lost a lot on the defensive side of the ball. I don't
Yes,
think
they
the
have.
Eagles will really struggle to score here. I've been more impressed with how the Rams defense has been able to stay in the games. I do think something's going to give eventually, though, and that might be this
I'm
week.
with you. 26th ranked defense in the league, bottom 10 unit. Someone's got to give, they're playing the championship caliber team. This is probably the week for it to break, like you're saying.
Yeah, leaning over potential Rams in a teaser at home. All right, another very rough matchup here.
Can't figure out why this game is favored to the Broncos. I can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, Zach Wilson looks pretty good against the Chiefs. A lot of people saying it was his best game of his career, even though they still lost.
I think I think it's a fair argument.
Yeah, in the Jets defense, we know they're solid. They show up every week. Broncos are coming off a win. Can't really give them too much credit against the Bears. They fell down early, but they stayed resilient. Sean Payton hasn't lost that team yet.
No.
I feel like this game could be a potential get one of these two squads back on track. Not that I see either making a big run, but they both have some talent. They both had some optimistic hopes for the season. Do you think either of these teams could turn around, or is it both?
I really can't figure this game out, dude. Like the Broncos are the worst ranked defense in the league. The Jets have a top 10 defense in the league. The Jets look good against the Chiefs. Like, why aren't they favored here? I can't figure it out. And like I won't touch this game in any capacity. I don't understand it. It makes no sense. Makes
Fair.
absolutely zero sense. Everyone in this world knows that the Jets should be favored this game, and they're not. Doesn't make any sense.
So we got to take the Broncos.
I almost think you do, but they're so bad. Like, how can you take them? Like, I can't touch this game. Can't do it.
Yeah. No, nothing that I'll touch either. But with that logic, I feel like you got to go Broncos here. Let's try to.
Yeah, just you gotta fade. You gotta go with the odds makers because this is a fade yourself kind of game and take the Broncos. Rip the band-aid off. Fade
Love
yourself.
it.
I
Right?
have no other analysis. I can't figure it out.
Oh
I
yeah.
can't even try to figure it out.
All right. The Chiefs heading to Minnesota. Both teams coming off wins. Um, Neither looking too great. Mahomes and that offense hasn't gotten going yet. I think that's been just a surprising thing. That Chiefs defense is really carrying them early in the season here. I mentioned it earlier in the season, but I'm feeling like eventually something's going to break in that Kansas offense, like a tough Travis Kelce injury, and I don't see how that team operates anymore. So
Agreed.
I
Agreed.
just feel like something's going to fall the wrong way because they're just relying on two little pieces there. Not that that affects this week, but just maybe down the road. And then
Yeah.
Vikings, they're kind of in limbo too right now. At 1-3, they don't. I feel like they need to make a decision fairly soon if they're gonna. This is kind of a win or go home game. If they lose this one, the season's almost kind of over. But with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, they're trying to still make the playoffs.
Yeah, I love the +5 here. I'm either smelling Vikings win, but more likely backdoor cover here. And in the teaser, I love it. I like the under here a lot too. I like you said, this Chiefs offense is very centered around Travis Kelce. I like what the Chiefs have going for them on defense, especially in the coverage game. And then Chris Jones, the pass rush. The offensive line for the Vikings have struggled a little bit blocking the past year, so that could be an issue too. I like the under. I like the Vikings keeping this game close. And like you said, it is kind of a make or break game. The Chiefs are riding high. They're feeling good. It just seems like a type of game where the Vikings can surprise a lot of people and win it. People forget, this is a team that won a ton of games last season. They haven't looked that great, but they are one of the best ranked teams with their record. I'd like the Vikings to keep this one close, and don't be shocked if they win this one.
Yeah, no, I actually do kind of like the Vikings to win this one.
It's for plus money, I think it's great value.
Yeah, I haven't been impressed with the Chiefs. They're still winning games, but not
It's
handedly.
wild. The Vikings are ranked higher to cut you off. They're ranked higher overall in PFF by many spots over the Chiefs.
Really.
Like we had to take this is 100% going on the card.
Ah,
The
hey,
Vikings +5 at the minimum
all
has
right.
to.
I love it. All right. My best matchup of the week.
Oh, of course.
Two great defenses. Um, just also historical matchup. Dallas head into San Fran. Could be potential NFC championship matchup. What do you what do you like in this one, or what do you like going forward?
Yeah, this game is just too good and too close of teams for me to lean anywhere, to be honest. I'm picking the Cowboys plus 3.5 here just because the defense is so good. Brock Purdy has never seen a defense like this, not even the Eagles last year. Uh, Dak Prescott has probably not seen too many defenses tougher than this 49ers, but has seen comparable defenses. He's been around the league. He's seen some tough teams. I'm more confident in him in that offense. Um, it's gonna be a tough game for both teams. I think there's a ton of value in the Cowboys money line. I think they're an incredible team with an incredible defense and who can score points, as you saw against the Patriots too. I think plus 3.5 is too nice of a line because this game could go either way. And if the Niners win by a field goal, which I think is a likely outcome, you still win the Cowboys bet. I could see going both. I could see some defensive scores here that drive the total up. I could see two absolute dominant defense that bring the total down. It's going to be a close game. I don't know what the game script is, but I would imagine it's going to be pretty close, and that's what makes me like plus 3.5.
Yeah, no, I like your reasoning on just taking the points in this one, especially getting the hook on the field goal. I was initially leaning towards the Niners. I think complete football team, and this has been the narrative for the last few years, but there's no holes on that team. I'm curious to see how many points they could put up in this one. Christian McCaffrey's looked unstoppable.
Oh
So
God, he
put
really
him up against a
has.
good defense. So I just want to see what he looks like, how effective he still is against them, and then just exactly see how well Brock Purdy performs.
That's my big
I know
question.
I
What's
know
Brock Purdy
he
going to do?
I know he already knows that's going to be a big just news line headed into this one. A lot of people continue to question him, even though he's been winning games, mostly because of that injury in the playoffs last year. But he could get a lot of hate if they fall short in this one. So I do think it's going to be a big one for him there, where he might show up.
Huge, huge game for the story of his season, really.
All either way. All right, rounding us out. Got the Packers headed to LA. Our boy Aiden
Uh,
O'Connell couldn't pull it.
LV
What's that?
going to Vegas.
Yeah. No, our boy Aiden O'Connell couldn't pull that out in his
Mm-mm.
debut. Got sacked 6 times by Khalil Mack.
That dude, that was a
Still
monster
passed the
performance.
ball very well, in my opinion. Still looks better than Jimmy G.
Mm-hmm.
The Packers seem to be getting a little bit healthier now. I mean, just super banged up since week 2. Might start to get a little bit healthier on that end. But any thoughts in this one? I feel like we've been betting on the Packers against the Raiders for
Yeah.
quite a while. I feel like we've exhausted these two.
Yeah, no, I started out wanting to pick the Packers minus 2.5 because I think they're the better team and they're the better defense. These teams stack up really similarly against each other. Packers are the 19th best offense, the Raiders are the 20th. Packers are the 15th best defense, the Raiders are the 17th. So they have a slight edge against them that I think the home field advantage that the Raiders have mitigates any talent difference here. You get some key guys coming back for the the Packers, and I think they win this game. But Jimmy G playing is going to be a big question mark and something to keep an eye on before you can really make a pick in this one.
I'm waiting. If Aiden O'Connell's in, taking the Raiders. Week 2.
I'll
My
trust you on that
debut.
one.
It's
You
off
know
the top.
AOC better than anybody.
Man, he's slinging it around out there.
All right, man. I'm telling you that Vikings, after this video, the Vikings are for sure on the card. Probably do something with that. Either the Patriots money line or like the under in that game. But some good revelations here. And the Falcons. Some good
Oh, yeah.
revelations in the video.
I liked
Uh,
it.
I think we buy low on the Falcons here and sell the Texans high.
Do it. All right. Stay tuned for the card. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Yeah. See you next week.